Alright y'all, this is St. Patrick's Day weekend and we're going to do a St. Patty's Day look with some green eyeshadow. Let's dive into the makeup. I have already primed my skin with these 3 products, so my skin is ready to go except for SPF. So we're going to go ahead and add some of that because we'll be outside drinking in the daytime, so need that protection. The SPF I'm going to be using is the Whoa Glow Broad Spectrum Sunscreen in the shade Sunlight from e.l.f. Cosmetics. Well, I guess it's their e.l.f. skin line, but this one is really good. Has a nice, like, glowy sheen to it. You can definitely see how it's a little bit reflective. They did have multiple shades. At first, I did not realize that they did. So when I found this one, I was like, wow, this is great, because the other one was too dark for my skin. It worked only because I put foundation on top, but this one actually looks better on my skin, I think. But you can see the glow that it just gave my skin already. I'm going to use the NARS Soft Matte Concealer to go ahead and cover these with a tiny bit of color corrector. I'm going to use a little bit of the Eye Magic color corrector in the shade Green, which is very fitting for today. I'm going to be wearing all green. It's going to be fun. Well, not all green. I'm wearing jeans and a green shirt. I'm not that fun. I'm going to go ahead and use my concealer brush and get a little bit of that concealer out and then mix it with the green color corrector. It's hard to show on camera. Just going to use a little bit of it. I don't want it to be like super green. I just want it to have a nice little green tint to it. This concealer is so good to cover anything. Sins, tragedies, whatever. It already covered that so well, and I'm not even wearing foundation. It's kind of awesome. Now, I patted it out a little bit. If you really want it to just like stay put, do this and let it sit. All right, today I'm going to be using 2 new products in my collection. This is the Skin Silk Foundation. It's the Luminous Serum Foundation from Revolution Makeup, and it is in shade F1. And this one I've used a couple times now, and I've actually really liked it, along with the concealer, which is really brightening and awesome. This is the Fair Cool shade of the Skin Silk Under Eye Brightener and Concealer. So I'm going to use a couple pumps on the back of my hand. But it really gives such a nice glow to the skin. The theme is glowy today. We're just going to be beaming, okay? Now I'm gonna leave the spots where the pimples were alone. I'm gonna use a sponge for that and pat it out just because I don't want to displace that concealer that we did such a good job on laying down. But everywhere else, I'm applying with the brush first and then I will use the sponge over top. But this has such a nice applicator. It has like a little pocket in there that applies this product so nicely, but it's also a metal applicator, so it's nice and cooling, which I love. I love a nice cooling applicator, especially underneath the eyes. It just feels like it's waking up my skin so nicely. I'm gonna actually use a sponge to apply underneath my eyes. I do not want any creases today. As I said, this is a rare occasion when I'm leaving my house to actually do like a social activity. So yeah, I'm gonna carry it up on my lids too. Now this is not a super full coverage concealer, so I'm not expecting it to do some miracles here, but it looks really good, natural, has that luminous finish, and looks like my skin, which is basically what I'm going for. That is the natural base done with this concealer and the foundation. I am going to add some powder. This is where some of that like extra pigmentation is going to come from. I'm going to use the Airy Cloud Set powder from KOSAS. So I'm going to take a little bit of this powder on a little powder puff here. If it settles into your lines, make sure you pat it out before you add your powder, because this is what's going to be setting that makeup in. You do not want to set those creases if you have any. This powder is really nice. It looks very natural on the skin. It doesn't look like super matte, but it doesn't look glowy either. I am going to use some newer products to my channel today. This one, should I use the House Labs blush or the Juvia's Place? They're both kind of the same shade. This is Peach Please, and this is in Glassy Pomelo. I think I'm going to go with the Juvia's Place for today. I don't know, I've been really loving this one. They're both really good. I'm going to use a stippling brush, and I'm going to go ahead and dip into here. It is almost brand new. I've used it once so far, but I have loved it so far. I tend not to do as much bronzer and contour these days just because I found that blush is enough for me. Look at that. I mean, it already gives me some definition that I really love and brings some color to the cheeks. This melted into the skin so beautifully. It looks awesome. This is where the skin balm is going to come in. So this is the Loreal Lumi Glass, or Lumi Le Glace, and the shade Glassy Pearl. This one I like to warm up on the back of my hand first. The Merit one, that is very similar. You don't really need to warm it up on your hand first, but this one has a little bit of a more firm texture until you warm it up. So it just gives your skin a nice glassy, balmy look. I love it. I already have enough glow on my skin, but I just need more. I just always need more. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the tops of my cheeks and a little bit on the tip of my nose and go ahead and blend it out with the same brush that I used for the blush. Next is brows. I'm gonna do that off camera because it's really difficult for me to talk and do my brows at the same time. So I'll do it and be right back. I swatched a bunch of different green eyeshadows on my hand just to see kind of what the vibe was for today. So these are some Clionadh shadows and these are some of the Denona I Am palette shimmers, and I think I want to go with this one. I'm going to use a couple of the mattes from the Oden's Hela palette, the collaboration with Angie. Starting out with shade Ouroboros, right here, that deep green shade. I'm not trying to make it too dark. I just want a little bit of that matte color on the outside before I add the multichrome, just so it doesn't look like it's just a green like stripe on my eyes. And I'll kind of carry that in a little bit. I don't go all the way to the inner corner, but just enough to kind of give that shape. And I'm going to carry it a little bit below. And I'm going to be blending out the edges, don't you worry. Let me do the other eye. Now the other green shades in the palette are a little bit more warm leaning, and the shimmer is definitely leaning on the more cool end. So I'm actually going to reach into the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette, and I'm going to go with the shade Fringe, this little light green here, to blend out. And this is just going to diffuse that so it doesn't look so like crazy in your face color. As you can see, it's already doing a great job of blending it out, and it's super quick. Alright, I am going to take a fluffy brush and just do a little bit of a more nude shade now just to blend out even further. I'm going to use shade Base from the Norvina palette, and I don't usually dip into multiple palettes for one look, but since it's a colorful look, this is more of a special occasion, I guess. The middle shade is a shade Abundant from the I Am palette. It is a purple to green multichrome. It's kind of hard to see in this lighting. It goes like purple, green, blue, but on my hand you can see it a little bit better. The shift is not super in your face right now, which is good. I want something a little bit more subtle of a multichrome, but still has that like really punchy green shade. I'm going to use the KVD Dazzle Stick in the shade Hail Surge just as a little bit of a base for that shimmer. Just look at that beauty. And I'm just going to stamp that right where I put the Dazzle Stick, just so it has a nice tacky base, and I will blend it out with my finger a little bit, but trying to come as far this way as I can. So pretty. I'm going to do a little bit of an inner corner. I'm going to use a very, very tiny brush, and I'm going to use one of my Clionadh shades for this. This is in the shade Luminaire from Clionadh, and is a nice like soft gold. I am going to actually take a little bit of black shadow and make a tiny bit of a wing. I did go ahead and do this, and then I'm just showing you what I did because I can't do that while talking. But I just stamped some black eyeshadow and made my own eyeliner, just because with the green eyeshadow I was finding that my eyelashes were kind of getting lost. So I wanted to make sure there was a little bit more like fullness to them. But yeah, so I'm going to be using the ILIA mascara, and now you'll see it's a little easier to see when I apply my mascara. Lips are going to be super easy for today. I'm going to do the Lip Cheat liner from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade Iconic Nude. Now I'm going to finish it off with a Maracuja lip. This is the Juicy Lip, not the plumper. I don't really love the plumper one, but this one is so pretty. The final look. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put on my outfit, then we'll be done. Alright, we are locked in. This is the final look. I am so happy with it, and it looks just so St. Patrick's Day. And my eyes are popping, blush is blushing, the skin is skinning. I love it. So that's the finished look. I hope you enjoyed it. Time to go drink.